Okay, it is 7:06. Welcome to the February 7, 2022 regular meeting of the Township Committee of the Township of Bedminster. I'll recognize that we have full attendance of the Township Committee in person here in Bedminster Town Hall. Ms. Ray, may we please have the Open Public Meetings Act statement?
Sure. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee was sent to the Courier News Somerville, Bernardsville News Whippany, and to all subscribers, and posted at the Township Municipal Building on January 6, 2022.
Great, thank you. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So it's been about a month and a half since I've gone through the COVID numbers. We certainly didn't do it at the reorg and at the second meeting in January. I was off at the rec meeting. So the numbers are interesting. So when I last presented the numbers, that was on December 20th. And at that time, we had 577 cases. Once again, those are confirmed laboratory, the PCR laboratory tests. So that's 577 confirmed cases and 5 fatalities on December 20th. Today, February 7th, 2022, we have 1,025 confirmed cases, and we still remain at 5 fatalities. So we went from 577 towards the end of December to 1,025 beginning of February. And I was also going through emails a couple weeks ago just in my office, and I came across this one newsletter on December 2nd saying first confirmed Omicron case. That was December 2nd. And in that month and a half, 2 months, ran right through the entire country and certainly Bedminster as well. The numbers are waning, certainly in end of December and January. For Bedminster, I was getting reports, and Robin is getting the same reports of 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and I'm pleased to say that during this last week, we actually had a couple days there were no reports, and others in the 3, 4, 5 range. So just as with the rest of the country and certainly the rest of the state, the Omicron peak seems to be behind us. Cross our fingers on that. And as we move forward, hopefully there are no more variants of that nature that run through us. So also glad that the fatalities have not increased despite the tremendous increase of positive cases. Vaccinations. Those residents with 1 dose, all ages, that's 85% have had at least 1 dose. Ages 12 to 17, that's 84%. 12 and over, 95%, 18 and over, 96%, 30 and over, 96%, 65 and over, 119% for the complete course of vaccinations, all ages 75%, so still a little bit lagging behind the 1 dose. 12 to 17, that's 78, 12 and over, 84, 18 and over, 84, 30 and over, 84, 65 and over, 104%. Now, going back to where we were end of December, and actually even going back 4 weeks ago, it's roughly about 1% increase for both the 1 dose and the complete course. I think we talked about this before. We're hitting asymptotic levels. Certainly, we can continue to keep pushing out the vaccination clinics, but you know, from my elementary statistics classes in college, it looks like we've got the population that is going to get vaccinated. Perhaps there'll be some further opportunities for additional clinics down the road, but it does appear that for those who are looking to get vaccinated, they have done so. With that, we'll move to public comments. There is no member of the public here at Town Hall, and it does not appear that there is anyone participating via Zoom or telephone.
That's correct.
Give it a few more seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, let's move on. Approval of minutes. We have one set of minutes to approve. That's the January 18 Township Committee meeting minutes. Any comments that have not otherwise been provided to Ms. Ray? Seeing none, may we have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Permits and raffles, we have one raffle to discuss. That's an off-premise 50/50 raffle to benefit the Center for Great Expectations, or Great Expectation, on July 19, 2022 at 8 p.m. at Fiddler's Elbow Country Club, located at 811 Rattlesnake Bridge Road, Bedminster. Any questions or comments concerning that 50/50? Seeing none, may we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Report out from subcommittee chairs. We will start with Committeeman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I attended a sewer transmission advisory board meeting since last time we were together. What we're trying to do there is get our hands around some of the equipment upgrades and repairs that are needed. Some of the infrastructure there is really past its useful life. So Rodney's been doing sort of an inventory on that and reporting back to the multiple towns that are involved in the board. And then we're trying to obviously work out some real hard numbers for a budget going forward. This is the first year we've really taken charge of that, so we're trying to track actuals versus estimates. And then I guess one of the issues that we're trying to get our hands around is the infiltration into the system. Every time you have a large rain event, the flows are increasing because you have a lot of wastewater or storm water getting into the system. So we'll continue to work through that and develop the budget, but that seems to have gotten some legs, and we're meeting pretty regularly on those issues.
Doug, does it appear that the I&I is coming from the Bedminster section of the transmission, or is it a way of fine-tuning? Is it from the village neighborhood, or is it coming from Far Hills?
Yeah, we've sort of kicked that around too. I haven't really got any definitive, flow centers. This point of entry is giving this many, gallons per hour or what have you. But it seems that most of the infiltration is coming in the PPAC area, but we. Not to our exclusion,
right,
but it's just, it's a problem replete throughout the system that we got to get our hands around, because it's not only affecting the flows, obviously, but it's affecting the infrastructure down here and the ability to handle the excess.
And probably on a linear basis, they probably have the greatest length of pipe.
That's right. That's right.
Coming all the way from PPAC and from Gladstone, just running right down. That's right. It's a much larger length than we have within our town.
Yeah. Rodney and I on DPW, trying to get our schedules together. Hopefully we're going to be speaking this week, so I'll have an update substantively for DPW next meeting. And then since last meeting we had a historic preservation meeting, nothing really to, newsworthy to report, just sort of your garden variety meeting. So that's it.
All right, thank you. And Robin, on the issue that Doug was discussing about the improvements to the sewer transmission, any word back from the county on the replacement for the pump station itself?
No, I actually spoke to Walter Lane last week just to let him know that we had one of our pumps requires an immediate fix. So I told him it's an emergent need, and the sooner we would know, the better. And he said he would push that through.
Okay, great. Thank you. Committeeman Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick update on Board of Health. At our January meeting, the County Health Department recapped some of the joint accomplishments that the department and local municipalities achieved in 2021. I thought I'd share a couple of those. They hosted 400 vaccination clinics. 60,000 vaccinations were administered.
Wow.
25,000 cases were subject to contact tracing, and there were 10 influenza clinics. And mind you, some of those were right here in Bedminster.
Right.
The county is now looking to expand into schools in response to vaccines being approved for younger children. They are also in the process of refurbishing the Raritan Mall to accommodate their new testing center, which is moving from Hillsborough. I know, Mayor, you were at our meeting, and I know one of the requests that you made of the county was to get letter grades for our restaurants up on our website. I know historically there's been some issue with data transfer and formatting, but, look, it's long overdue, and I'll continue to follow up with the Board of Health in the county to make sure that happens. And that was basically the crux of our meeting.
Great. And also at the meeting, also at the end, talked about running programs that Board of Health can do, and I think that's something that you and Chair Fisher leave it to you guys to figure out what you want to do, but certainly there's opportunity to bring Board of Health issues back to the Bedminster residents, and I'm sure there's some subjects that
You mentioned nutritious
that will be
eating.
of great interest.
Yeah, that's a great one. Absolutely.
Great. Committee woman, Mareski.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess we've been keeping Rodney busy because we had him at the Environmental Commission meeting on February 2nd. He came to join the EC so he could kind of get a handle with them on what kind of programs that DPW can help out with. For example, the rain garden that we talked about down at Miller Lane Park, or hopefully finishing putting up the rest of the boxes in the stall area. One quick note on the stall area, Chairman Dawn March and I took a walk back there, and we noticed that the silo and the building that is back in the stall area are covered in graffiti. They are a mess. So Dawn will be talking to Rodney and seeing if there's some way that DPW can get rid of that. That's an area we want people to go in and visit, and the graffiti is really nasty. Commissioner Taglieri shared with us a flyer from the New Jersey Business Action Center discussing the May 4th state ban on plastic carryout bags and polystyrene foam that is coming up. Now, the flyer does talk mostly about what the businesses need to do, and it has a bunch of exemptions and other instructions so that our businesses know what to do, but it is a reminder that we all need to start bringing our own carryout bags when we shop.
Renee, when does that go, do you know, if that law goes into effect, like you show up at a store and you can't get a bag anymore? Do you
Says
know-
it goes into effect May 4th.
Oh, May, okay, I thought it was
May.
February, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, not
And we
right
d-
here, but coming up soon.
And we still have bags. We still have those great Bedminster green bags over at, right in the admin building. So if someone were to come to the front desk, they could pick up some Bedminster usable bags.
And come the end of May, the farmer's market will have our annual bags. Let's see. The New Jersey Tree Recovery Campaign, we did work with them last year. It's the Forest Service, the New Jersey Soil Conservation District, and Arbor Day Foundation. That's who we got the trees through last year. They're going to be doing that again, and we're just waiting for some additional information from Neil in RAC and Commissioner Whit Parker to see how many trees we can get and which kinds we can get. And just a little bit of information on our Bedminster Pond. Black Lagoon, the company that does the water treatment, provided us with some depth measurements, and it looks like about half the pond is between 4 and 6 feet deep. So that doesn't sound too deep, but it does provide adequate habitat for fish, so that's a good thing. The second year of our test program will begin this spring, and then at the end of the year, EC will evaluate the program and see if it was worth doing. Let's see.
So with that information about the depth, what's the next step? You
Just
have
to
that
do the
information?
treatment. If we wanted to do some excavation, it would cost $500,000.
But at this point, based on those depth readings, is there a need or basis to proceed with a deepening?
No, just the
Okay.
treatments.
Okay.
They're not anticipating that we would need to dig any deeper. So that was good news. Let's see, and then finally for EC, Chairman March met with I think via Zoom, Jennifer Giordano, the superintendent of Bedminster School, along with the school's green team. I think there's 4 young women who are on it. And the girls are all excited to work with our programs through EC, like building spotted lanternfly traps, planting seeds, and working on the rain garden. So that would be a good thing going forward. 2 quick things to mention for JVH. There is the Middlebrook 5 General Bus Tour coming up on February 20th from 9 to 5. In case anybody doesn't know, this is a narrated bus tour of 5 historically significant homes in our county. It begins at the Van Horn House, which is the headquarters of the Heritage Trail Association. Attendees will check in and hear a short introductory program. Buses then take you around to the Abraham Stotts House, our own Jacobus Vanderveer House, the Wallace House, and the don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, Dayton House. Tickets can be purchased through Eventbrite. And then finally, for the Field of Honor this year will run from May 14th to July 8th. And the Field of Honor celebration event will be May 21st from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. The event will host the White House Wind Symphony, Lamb's Artillery. We're looking to get some food trucks in and do some crafts for the kids, such as corn husk dolls, things like that. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Committeewoman Fernandez.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few quick updates. The first is a rec update, just a little bit about our programming. Currently, as far as travel and rec basketball go, we have 4 travel teams. Our Saturday drill skills and thrills is still taking place. It started December 4th, and that runs about 10 weeks for kids kindergarten through, I think, 6th grade. There's 3 teams in the Intertown Basketball League, which is Somerset Hills area. As far as the after-school enrichment programs, we have Fairy Tale Art Program and a Cooking with Miss Gail taking place after school. It takes place at the Bedminster School. Our rec committee and our rec director have been busy planning some spring events per the groundhog recommendations. There's very excited planning a food truck fest for Saturday, May 21st, anticipating about 8 to 10 trucks at River Road Park. There's an indoor volleyball, adult volleyball, March 12th it starts. There's a big group of people that enjoy outdoor volleyball, so they decided, hey, let's bring that inside. So that will begin March 12th. And also this year, for the first time, they're going to offer kids volleyball outdoors through United Sports Group. And as soon as the conclusion of the indoor adult volleyball ends, the outdoor adult volleyball will begin at Pluckman Schoolhouse Park, the sand courts. For the first time, trying a K through 3 soccer program with United Soccer Academy. And Somerset Hills 4th through 8th grade outdoor basketball is going to resume April 3rd. Okay. Also, there is, I don't know if you remember, a senior resource guide that has a ton of services for senior residents and disabled residents that qualify. And that has been finalized and updated with new free tax preparation for low to moderate income residents and people with disabilities. And that was posted online on some community groups and will actually be printed and mailed to our senior residents at Pluckman Park. As far as human resources update, we're working on a training on diversity and inclusion in the workplace by a human resources specialist. And our JIF, our Joint Insurance Fund, also has some training platforms for staff as far as that goes. And lastly, Community in Crisis is asking to partner with local townships on their platform called Community in Conversation. And that will include a 7-minute survey regarding kids and substance use in the Somerset Hills area. So we'll also be sharing that link and the findings of that information as well.
Great.
And that's it.
Thank you. So real quick, before I get into the subcommittee reports, I do want to give a special shout out to DPW. Since we last met, we had a couple snow events and some rain/ice situations, and DPW was right on top of it overnight. I think that was what that Friday into Saturday event. It's great to see them out there. The roads were in great shape the next morning, and even, I guess it was last week, after that, where that rain converted into sleet and then everything iced up. Our roads were in great shape. Salt was everywhere. The brine was working. So thank you to our interim director, Rodney McCathern, and all the folks on DPW for taking care of our roads. So thank you, guys. Land Use Board. We had a Land Use Board meeting last week. There was one application, and that was the Trump Golf Course. Had an application to build pickleball courts. The application was approved. One of the shortest Land Use Board meetings we've had in some time. So congratulations and happy pickleballing over to the Trump Golf Course. There's a Land Use Board meeting coming up this week as well. Committeeman Hickey and I are not eligible since it is a Board of Adjustment zoning matter. But we'll be able to report on that or whatever happened with that application at our next meeting. Farmers Market, the applications for vendors have been finalized. We've worked that out. Neil posted that up on our website and sent the applications to actually all the vendors who were with us last year. And applications are coming through, and we do have a meeting tomorrow night to further discuss our plans for the 2022 Farmers Market. Also, since we last met, we did have a meeting of the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, and we discussed the spending plan. Some comments were given back to CGP&H, and Heather is going to take those comments and try to refine the spending plan. And we didn't hear back from Heather, but I think we'll have that follow-up meeting with the Affordable Housing Advisory Commission later this month. And then next week, we have a library board. So that's what I have from my subcommittee discussions. Ms. Ray, may you please have the administrator's report.
Sure, okay. Last Friday, we received approval from the DOT for the Black River Road Construction Detour Plan. I'll be honest, work is probably not going to start until March.
And do we actually have the specifics of the traffic plan?
And we do.
Which is?
Chief?
Well, originally it was supposed to be on our interior roads, so it was reworked to utilize the county road from Pottersville to 206, and they're going to come looping back around on Lamington, depending on what section is closed, instead of using our interior larger cross road in Long Lane.
So if you're coming into Pottersville from Lamington, you're going to go out to 206, come up Pottersville, and then take Pottersville Road back into town or into that section. And if you're coming from Tewksbury or from Chester, you're going to go Pottersville Road and back around again.
Hopefully.
All right.
You know, the shortcuts.
I'm sure the Bedminster residents, the Tewksbury residents, and the Chester residents, they know the shortcuts. All right, so it's good to see that's finally approved. So the project that we thought should have started last year, but got held up because of the traffic detour plan is moving forward. So good news.
Correct. Thank you for the detail on that. We received the engineer's estimate for a two-phase community garden, and we're working right now on a 2022 Somerset County Recreation Grant application for garden funding. The application requires a resolution by the governing body, so you'll see that later on in the consent agenda. We are
So just real quick on that subject. So for Doug and for Renee, so is this for the whole shebang, or this is a reduced version?
The quote was for the full blown out soup to nuts plan, which is not what we wanted to do initially, so that's fine. So we know what the outside number looks like, but it's too expensive, especially when we just don't know whether the level of interest is going to keep this thing going year to year to year. So the idea was to build it out in phases, And so we can essentially lop off 50% of it, because it was going to be like a left-right situation with a parking lot in the middle. So we can just go to the one side, and then we don't have to go even the full number of beds per side. It would just be a matter of having sort of 3 of the 4 corners closed, and then that last one would just, wherever we decide to end it, and close it. And if we wanted to build on down the line, we would rip up that one side of fencing and continue down the other, and then, reclose it. But the actual size, we haven't really come down to a final decision of what the total number of beds is going to be for phase 1. It may not even be 50%, because 50% is still a lot. Maybe it's going to be 35%, 40%, but we have to talk that out.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. With regards to IT, our IT manager, Vishant Saran, had prepared a comprehensive IT strategic plan for Bedminster Township, which is terrific. It's a roadmap to help us plan for the future, as well as our budget. The plan not only addresses the GIF cybersecurity criteria, which we've been talking about, trying to meet that tier 1, 2, and now we're on to tier 3 criteria, but it also addresses aging servers, cloud solutions, data storage, and provides for redundancy, which is ultimately the most important in the event of a cyber attack. However, Vishant did point out to all of us that this wonderful technology will not work without power. So therefore, Vishant's plan also includes an on-site generator. With regard to the sewer utility, I'll just reiterate what Committeeman Stephen mentioned. We attended a sewer transmission advisory board meeting, STAB as we affectionately refer to it as, back on January 19th, and we reviewed the operating capital budget. We're the lead agency this year, so as Doug said, we're working on actual costs as opposed to estimates. We have another STAB budget meeting coming up later this week where we've sharpened our pencils. For the sewer utility, also, the township submitted a grant for Somerset County American Recovery Plan project initiative for the rehabilitation of the A.G. Miller Lane pump station. And as I had mentioned earlier, we're anxiously awaiting, as things are popping and breaking all over the place and flooding. We're very anxious to receive word on that. Miscellaneous for RAVE, I added several different platform choices as Committeeman Hickey had requested, and we also have conducted another promotional push with the Hills Management Companies, and this time I've actually included the HOA presidents and trustees to that list. I prepared a press release for the newspapers, just need to take another pass at it, and plan another promotion this week through all of our normal channels. Right now we have 182 people signed up, which isn't where a lot of people, so we need to really promote this better. With regard to the shared court, I'm also finalizing the shared court budget. We have plans to meet with our municipal partners later on this month to go over that. So keep your eye on your email for a calendar invite shortly. And with regard to administrations, I'm saving the best for last. Just want to say congratulations to our acting QPA, Sarah Hausman, for passing the New Jersey State Qualified Purchasing Agent exam. She just got word today. So just if that says anything about Sarah's character, she passed after overcoming an extraordinary circumstance just the week before. So talk about pressure and under the gun to get this done. So I just want to wish
That's
her
great.
congratulations in her new position.
So at what point do we take the acting off her title and make her QPA?
We'll do that at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Good job, Sarah.
And that concludes my report.
Okay. And so we will get a shared court meeting, hybrid meeting, in person and remote? Okay. Thank you. Introduction of ordinances, we have none. Public hearing of ordinances, we have none. We have 5 items on the consent agenda. Are there any resolutions that the Township Committee members want to pull off for individual discussion? Seeing none, may we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
We have no resolutions
What?
beyond those on the consent agenda. May we have a motion to approve the bill list?
So moved?
Second.
Roll call vote, please. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Higbee?
Aye.
Ms. Mareski?
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
Any matters for new business? Sure? You? You sure?
I'm sure.
Okay. No new business items. Old business, we've covered COVID-19. Chief, the DOT improvements. Haven't heard anything from our friends down at DOT in a couple months. Why don't we send them another email?
Well, the last contact was, we were looking obviously at the River Road intersection to have the signs actually on the concrete median replaced, and there's an issue with, I guess they don't have the proper post. I guess it has to be a breakaway, and maybe the signage might be too big because there really isn't that much real estate there. And as for River Road, yes, I mean, as for Hills Drive, I don't know where that is in the pecking order, but
It was supposed to be the same simple painting and some signage, nothing too complicated. So if you could just put another email, copy me on that as well. Utilities. Committeeman Hickey.
Yes, we've been busy.
There's another outage.
There was another outage. So we'll start with JCP&L. There was an outage last night, beginning with a momentary outage around 6 p.m., followed by another longer outage at 9 p.m. that lasted for about a half hour. The reason was a fire at a transformer located at Hills Drive in 202-206. No cause for the fire was determined, but it's likely that a branch or an animal came in contact with the line, which is likely why we saw the initial outage. The circuit reclosed, but then the circuit needed to be de-energized. When the crews came out, the fire was put out, but they had to replace the transformer. So that was the reason for the second outage at about 9 p.m. that lasted for about a half an hour. One of the things out of this is I've requested we be given more information in real time in connection with these outages so we can proactively alert folks. It would have been great, Robin, you were just talking about Brave before. We could have pushed that out up to our residents and said, hey, power's going to be down for a half hour as they replace the transformer, sit tight. So,
Now, did we ever hear back from JCP&L as to that request? That that longer outage was
Yep.
actually
planned outage.
a planned outage,
Correct.
albeit
Yes,
planned
not a-
within 2 hours or
Right,
so.
right,
But it was
right.
still during that 2 hours that was an opportunity to
Yes.
certainly get the word out.
Yes.
Otherwise, folks were sitting there on a cold Sunday night, not quite sure if this was a long-term event.
Yes, exactly. So there's been an email sent out, and there'll be a phone call first thing tomorrow as a follow-up to make sure that happens. Because you're absolutely right. People were worried. Last night was 24 degrees, and people were thinking, I'm going to be out of power, maybe overnight. All that stress could have been relieved if we just put out an update, but we need the information.
Right.
So,
So it's the communication skills that, with JCP&L,
yep,
they've certainly have improved, but there's still room.
still
for more.
areas for improvement.
Yes.
Next subject, Altice. They have completed their initial fiber mapping work with the help of Frontier Geotech. The good news is the existing fiber route roughly follows a path up Hills Drive, down Robertson, onto Bradford, and then up Schley Mountain Road. And you might ask yourself, well, why does this matter? Well, it means the vast majority of the neighborhoods in the hills can be served off the main fiber trunk line. And basically you serve the neighborhoods via branches that go off into each neighborhood, as opposed to having to traverse one neighborhood to get to the next.
So we're not going to be in a situation where one association says no, and that kills the ability of the neighboring associations to take advantage of fiber.
Exactly right. So that is really good news. We suspected it, but we confirmed it. So now the next step is for Altice to begin working with the individual HOAs and reach agreement on how, when, and where they'll route those branch lines. Remember, Altice has agreed to cover the cost of not only the fiber, but the restoration of the roadways and the landscaping. So that's where the real work begins now to get those agreements in place. So toward that end, I provided Altice an updated list of the HOA contacts so they can begin the outreach. I've also asked them to consider extending service and the fiber build out to both Timberbrook and Pluckman Park, which they are amenable to, because those are obviously adjacent right to the hills. Subsequent to that, thanks to Doug, I spoke with the property manager at Pluckman Park, who likes the idea, and Doug and I have been messaging with the folks over in Timberbrook.
Great,
So more to follow on that one.
great.
New Jersey American Water. We got them all. We sat down with the New Jersey American Water folks last week to discuss the Ski Hill Drive main replacement. There are 4,000 feet of a 6-foot main that will be replaced by a new 8-inch main. There are 3 fire hydrants and 36 utility service lines that will also be replaced. Meter pits will be installed in the roadway adjacent to the curb. New Jersey American Water estimates the value of the project to be $824,000. The project is expected to take 5 to 7 weeks to complete and will start either next Monday or the Monday afterwards. CRJ Contracting will be doing the work, and they were present at our pre-construction meeting. The residents will be noticed, and the work will occur between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. daily. There will be 2 staging areas for the materials that will be located alongside the road. I've also spoken with Committeeman Stevenson, and he will be evaluating the impact on our pavement management plan and the options. Given some of the other projects that are potentially planned for the Ski Hill area, we need to look at the timing and determine whether or not we pave right after the water main work is done, or we take compensation in lieu of paving. So, more to follow. Also, just to follow up on the Deer Haven project, the staging area adjacent to Deer Haven has been cleaned up, to my understanding, and we'll be discussing paving options there, given some other planned work in that area as well.
Gina, I
Yes.
drove by, I still saw equipment out there.
On that
On-
corner lot?
Yeah,
Yes.
on
Yeah,
Saturday.
and I think there's a dumpster out there too. But that would belong to Montana, who's who's the contractor.
Correct.
So, I guess that communication would have to go to Montana. It's just because it's going to New Jersey American Water doesn't necessarily mean that they've gotten the information, right?
Well, they told me they did a walkthrough on Friday, and they said most of the stuff had been cleaned up from Montana, so if there's still stuff out there, I can circle
And
back.
they were definitely out there, they were regrading and they were
Okay.
cleaning it up for sure, but there's still,
There's
a
still
lot of
stuff out
equipment
there.
there, yeah.
All right, so we'll double check at the end of this week and see what's going on.
Right, because it's just basically the neighbors are
Yeah.
concerned because it's not a construction yard and
Right.
it's not an industrial area, so
Absolutely.
they don't want construction
Yeah,
equipment there.
and that site's been the subject of, some attention over the last several years. Another building demoed.
Yeah, yep.
So, we don't know what the owners of that property are planning for the future. I think there had been some preliminary outreach to Zuzana over in zoning, but I've not heard anything recently. So,
Same.
let's keep that property clean.
Yep.
All right. And while we're on utilities,
I got more for
Oh,
you.
you have more.
There's more.
There's more.
There is more.
Okay.
Just one last thing on New Jersey American Water. They indicated that Old Stonehouse is on the agenda for next year, because we're just trying to get a sense of where they're going to put new water mains next. They told us that's targeted for 2023, and they obviously are giving us that so we can feed that into our pavement management plan.
Okay. Good.
I also have a PSE&G update.
Well,
Not
we
to
got
do with
two-
ga-
We got
not-
two others that also will be
Okay.
talking about PSE&G.
Yes, we have lots of PSE.
Okay.
So do you want me to start with that one and then?
You're on a roll. Let's,
All right, let's
we
keep
don't,
going.
why interrupt?
So I attended a call with PSE&G last week regarding the expiration of the utility shut-off moratorium. As you may recall, that went into effect at the beginning of COVID, around March of 2020. It's due to expire on 3/15 of 2022. PSE&G indicated that statewide, 25% of their 2.5 million customers are behind on their utility bills. 275,000 are 90 days past due. As they said, they've never seen anything like this. And it's understandable. You have folks out of work. You have folks who had to leave jobs because they had to take care of kids. So things have fallen through the cracks. They estimate that 60% of customers who are eligible for utility support never apply. So they want to get the word out, and they need our help to do it. Fortunately, folks who are behind on their bills have some options. Option one, they can set up a deferred payment arrangement with PSE&G. It's $0 down, and they have 24 months to pay off their bill. They can go to pseng.com/myaccount or call 1-800-375-2262 and ask for a payment arrangement. Or, option two, they can ask for utility assistance, which is available for gas, electric, and water services through the Universal Services Fund. So there, they need to go to nj211.org and look for the Utility Assistance Program or call 211. And once they do that, they have to inform the utility that they have applied for this assistance. PSE&G reminded us that disconnection is always the last resort. They do not want to do that. I'll work with Ms. Ray to make sure we get that information out on the website and to our residents so that they can avoid disconnection. They also commented that they will send, PSE&G will email municipalities of any local addresses pending disconnection. So Robin, you should be seeing those. And finally, they reminded everybody to be aware of scammers who see this as an opportunity and who prey on the vulnerable. They will never call a customer and say, pay us $500 or we'll shut off your lights by 12 noon. These are scammers out there. They're doing it right now. And they're reminding everybody that doesn't happen that way. It's quite the opposite. So we'll get the information out, like I said, on a website and via Facebook and via Rave and let folks know.
When they were giving those numbers about the delinquent customers they have, did they give us a sense of by town? So do we know how many residents
Yes.
are?
Yes, we can get the Bedminster specific report, but yeah, they were sharing some of those numbers. So
Yeah,
they-
I think it would be good to get that, so this way we know, are we dealing with several dozen, are we dealing
Yep.
with 100 or 200?
yes,
And this can also just seeing those numbers may help us fine tune the messaging back out to our
Yep.
residents.
that's a good idea. We'll do.
Okay, while we're on PSE&G, Gina and Doug, any updates on your efforts with PSE&G to extend gas service?
So, Mayor, where I left off last report out was that I had received an email back from Tanya Banks at PSE&G, and she had received the bulk of the applications that I mailed together. And then there were stragglers that were coming in after, and they mailed them directly there, or if they dropped them off here, then I just sent them there. Then the next step is that PSE&G is going to come out and do an evaluation and determine a cost per household based on the applications. And then everyone would then have to sign a commitment letter, because if some people didn't commit to that, they said, no, that's too much, I'm not going to do it, then that again changes the cost for everybody else, right? So it's a process. I have not received, and they handle each application individually. So they would reach out to individuals, they would receive a letter with a quote, and then move forward that way. I have not received a quote or a letter. I don't know if Committeeman Stevenson has either.
She just confirmed receipt.
Yeah,
She's
so,
working the number.
and, yeah, they were just working on the numbers. So that's as far as we've gotten with that update.
So if they're going to go contact individual by individual, will there be any reporting back to either of two of you so that you know that, hey, we need to reconvene the group?
Like collectively, yeah. I think that I was waiting to see until I got our quote, especially because my heat stopped working last week. And then I'm like, do we get a new furnace? Well, I'm going to wait, because then I would just hook it up to gas, so we just fixed our furnace. But anyway.
And for you, but actually for you, I mean, the line is just a few yards off, right?
My next door neighbor's house.
Yeah, because they already have it.
So, but nonetheless, I was just waiting to see. So I was assuming once I hear back, then I'm going to reach out to the neighbors and kind of move forward as far as that goes.
Because Gina's situation is, I mean, it's interesting, right? So you may not have had your furnace on that initial list, but then the opportunity to switch to a furnace may completely change the numbers, not just for you, but for
Yeah.
Yeah,
others.
My understanding, I may be wrong, but we should probably follow up with Tanya over at PSE&G, is that she's she's doing them one at a time, but that this was going to be handled as a package.
Yeah, I think that each individual quote is based on the whole, So, and that it goes based on each individual, because I might be just hooking up my grill and my next door neighbor's hooking up, 6 appliances. So there are BTU credits. I don't really understand that 100%, but it's in writing. It's in a letter. I'm sure if I read it, I just can't. I understand it. I just don't know how to explain it. But I think that each individual application is handled based on the whole. You're a drop of water in the ocean kind of thing.
Okay, we'll follow up with Tanya, just see where
Yeah.
she's at and an estimated time frame for coming back to us.
Yeah.
Right, and if there's anything else that
See what we can do.
could
with
be
the
done,
other, yeah.
exactly. Right,
Exactly.
great.
Yep.
Thank you. And Doug, so I know you and Colin had some coordination with Pluckman Park.
Yeah, and there's, in addition to pinging them on the Altis initiative, Abe, the property manager, reached out for Colin and myself. They want to re-engage with the discussions about continuing or extending a pilot payment. So I said, look, we've been through that, we've been down that road before, not much has changed from our perspective, but if you're saying, you want to regather the troops and go back and dust off the book, so to speak, we're happy to do it. But, it's going to require something substantial, so it's not just going to be, cosmetic changes to the units and then getting an additional permit, or excuse me, an extension of the pilot. It's got to be something more
Right, and
capital-based.
And you have a copy of the financial
Yes.
agreement that John had, I think you and I had both looked at it a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And, we'll hold it in reserve until they come back with something concrete and substantial.
That's right.
Okay, we will go to Township Committee comments. We do have an executive session, so following Township Committee comments, we'll go to exec. We are not taking any action after the executive session or based upon the executive session. So let's start with Township Committee comments, and let's start with that side of the room with Committeewoman Fernandez.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to acknowledge that February is a busy month. We have Black History Month this month, and there's, Groundhog Day, Valentine's Day. So just want to, wish everybody a happy whatever they celebrate. And also just want to congratulate Sarah Hausman on her passing her QPA.
Great, thank you.
Congratulations, Sarah, and happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Congratulations to Sarah as well.
Ditto. That's it.
Okay.
He stole my line.
So at 7:52, may we have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we will adjourn to executive session. There's no one in public attendance, but if someone were to be listening, we will be returning to the public session, hopefully in just a few minutes. It is 8:16, and the Township Committee has returned from executive session. As I indicated earlier, we are not taking any formal action following our executive session. We have nothing else to do tonight but to adjourn. May I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and
Good night.
good night.
Good night.
Good night.